this is not an investment. A lot of people think, why would I put my money into whole life? Well, you're putting your money into whole life not to invest it, but to have it be a storage of your capital, have it being a preservation of your capital. And then when you want to take risk, you go out and you take risk when you feel fit. But life insurance is the ultimate and asset. So you can leverage your policy to gain access to cheaper money and get built-in arbitrage, which is effectively just simply put a positive spread on other investments. So what it does is it's either a hedge or it's an amplifier, right? So it's a hedge in the sense that, if you're taking on risk, any risk that you have is going to be mitigated by 1 to 3%. And anything you do that turns out well is going to be amplified by 1 to 3%. So it's going to get you better returns, right? So that's an amazing thing. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. And for this video, I want to talk to you about the 10 reasons everybody should own whole life insurance. The first reason is that life insurance is a social good. Now, I know that sounds like I'm kind of standing on my soapbox a little bit, but here's the way I look at it. In a world where saving is down and speculation is up, life insurance companies provide the best long-term liquid savings vehicle on the planet. By owning a life insurance policy, you become less dependent on the government, which obviously I feel is a really good thing, both because of the fact that you have not only more in savings, but because your dependence will require less on government assistance should anything ever happen to you. So the second reason that I think everybody should own a whole life insurance policy is because life insurance is the opposite of gambling in the casino age, right? We live in this environment where the interest rates are so low and the fixed markets are so low that people are kind of forced into taking speculative risks, and they're taking too much risk too soon. And 9 out of 10 times in the world right now, the greatest financial asset that any family has is the ability for its members to earn income. So what life insurance does is that the ownership of it actually transfers that risk away from the individual onto the life insurance company, and that solves that problem. In addition, if you lose your ability to earn income, I would say that life insurance has living benefits. So you're going to have access to living benefits if you lose your ability to earn income because you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill. So that's really important. So the third reason I think everybody should own a whole life insurance policy is because it's an inflation hedge on safe money. Now, if you watch any of my content, you know that too many people are being forced to choose between safety and returns. It's kind of what I was just talking about, right? Savings accounts lose purchasing power long-term right now, because especially inflation at 7.5% at the time I'm filming this video, which is kind of crazy, right? So most people are forced to choose between two things. They can either put their money in a savings account and they lose purchasing power long-term, whereas whole life insurance policies provide long-term internal rates of return that are greater than the long-term rate of inflation. So if you want to beat inflation, don't save your money in a savings account, save it in a whole life policy. So the fourth reason that I think you should own a whole life insurance policy is that whole life insurance companies manage billions of dollars, right? You get to take advantage of professional money management, right? Life insurance companies offer the best returns with the focus on the preservation of capital in the world, right? Now, I cannot overstate how important that is, right? One of the big things that I talk about in my Life 180 Pyramid video, which I'll link above, is the fact that, most people, the biggest problem that people have with creating wealth is that they take too much risk too soon. They don't have their financial life structured properly. And if you want to be able to become wealthy, you need to position yourself to preserve your capital first. The biggest lie that is being told is the younger you are, the more risk you can take, when reality is the younger you are, the less risk you have to take because you have time and compounding that can work for you. And what you don't want to do is interrupt that compounding with losses and taxes, and whole life insurance will solve both of those. So the fifth reason that I think everybody should own a whole life policy is that there's a guaranteed rate of return, right? So all whole life insurance companies offer guaranteed rates of return anywhere between 2 and 3.75% at this point in time, right? So here's the deal. I know that doesn't sound amazing, but the reality is better than the bond market, right? And your money remains liquid. So if you compare the two, you can put your money in bonds, tie it up, lose liquidity. And once again, if you compare this to that, this is not an investment. A lot of people think, why would I put my money into whole life? Well, you're putting your money into whole life not to invest it, but to have it be a storage of your capital, have it being a preservation of your capital. And then when you want to take risk, you go out and you take risk when you feel fit, right? It's you go out, it's what the and asset strategy that we talk about all the time. Your money remains liquid while it's sitting getting better than bond returns. And then when you want to take risk, go out and invest in assets like real estate, crypto, maybe your company, maybe you want to be a day trader, maybe something of that nature. But the bottom line is, it's a great place to get those guaranteed returns. And then when you want to take the risks, you take them on your terms. So the sixth reason I think everybody should own a whole life insurance policy is that you share in the company profits. When you use a mutually held life insurance company, you share in the company profits the same way that shareholders would share in publicly traded companies, right? So that's really important to understand. By doing that, you're not only getting the returns of the general fund, but one of the reasons that life insurance companies are able to give returns that are better than the 10-year treasury note is because of the fact that you're not only taking advantage of safe money, but you're taking advantage of business profits through other product lines that the life insurance company offers. So it's a pretty big deal. The seventh reason that I think everybody should own a whole life insurance policy is because it's pure leverage. It really is. Life insurance, I kind of alluded to it before, but life insurance is the ultimate and asset. So you can leverage your policy to gain access to cheaper money and get built-in arbitrage, which is effectively just, simply put, a positive spread on other investments. So what it does is it's either a hedge or it's an amplifier, right? So it's a hedge in the sense that, if you're taking on risk, any risk that you have is going to be mitigated by 1% to 3%, and anything you do that turns out well is going to be amplified by 1% to 3%. So it's going to get you better returns, right? So that's an amazing thing. So the eighth reason that I think everybody should own a whole life insurance policy is because it's going to help create generational wealth. This is the ultimate in family planning. Now, I know that Susie Ormans and the Dave Ramseys of the world are teaching the middle class to eliminate insurance as quickly as possible because they look at it as a need-based product. And while they're doing that and while they're keeping the middle class kind of broke, wealthy people understand the leverage of using whole life insurance to create generational wealth and keep generational wealth. In fact, I was just reading an article about the founder of Forbes magazine, and this guy had $46 million in his estate worth of life insurance. Did he need life insurance? No, he was plenty wealthy, but he understood the value of creating wealth and creating generational wealth for his family. So Forbes magazine, one of the best financial publications in the history of the United States, the guy who founded and was the head publisher of that magazine had $46 million of permanent life insurance to his estate. So take that for what it's worth. So the ninth reason that I think everybody should have a whole life insurance policy is because it's pure Austrian economics at play, right? Like I'm a big believer. I'm a free market capitalist. I believe pure Austrian economics are essential. Look at the world we live in. We live in unfortunately, a Keynesian economic world. If you don't understand what all that is, don't worry about it. Just understand we live in this world with fractional reserve banking, the Federal Reserve prints money, and there's so many challenges to what is happening in our economy right now, right? There's so much wrong with what's happening in our financial world that by implementing this system, you are insulating yourself from the chaos, from the madness of what's going on around us. And I'm just a big believer that we need to focus on what we control as individuals if we want to insulate ourselves from that. And what I know is that by getting a whole life policy, you can control how you operate inside of that. You can control and create what I call your own little micro economy. And that way, no matter what happens, you can either insulate yourself and protect yourself from it, or when times get rough, right? Like you're going to be prepared to take advantage of opportunity and you're going to be able to thrive in down economies. And the reality is that's when wealthy people get wealthy. It's not the strategy of just buy and hold and wait for success and try to keep up with the Joneses and chase that 10 to 15% rate of return. That's the lie you've been told by Wall Street, but the reality is that's not going to get you where you want to go. You need to focus on Austrian economics, you need to focus on market cycles, and you need to be prepared to take advantage of those market cycles when it presents opportunity. That's when the wealthy get wealthier, and that's when the great divides, the great gap between the middle class and the wealthy gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's happening. The wealthy are getting wealthier, the middle class is getting more and more broke every single time that we have one of these market cycles. So you can either take advantage of that or you could suffer through it. And that's the 9th reason that I think you should have it. So the 10th reason and the final reason, and I say this in a lot of my videos, but I'm going to say it again right now because I think it's so important, is that it is a self-completing plan. If you're saving money, which everybody should be doing, and as you know by now, I believe that you should be saving before you invest. Life insurance is a whole life policy is a self-completing plan. If you save in a savings account, something tragic happens to you, it's not going to complete. But a properly structured whole life insurance policy is the only way to make sure that what you want to happen will happen when you want it to happen, whether you're here to see it or not. And at the end of the day, that's super important, right? Like you want to make sure that this is going to take care of your family, that your kids are going to live the life that they want. Your spouse is going to live the life that you want them to live. Remember, the life insurance component of this, even if you took the life insurance away, I'm a big believer that these accounts make a lot of sense. But once you add the life insurance component to it and you really think about human life value and you think about what you want to happen, you think about the generational wealth and what you want your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids to look like, and you think about financial stewardship, this is a self-completing plan that when you implement these strategies and you execute, you can teach generationally the principles of money and financial stewardship in a way that most people don't understand. And I don't care where you are right now, every single person in the world right now has the ability to shift the direction of the financial life of their family. So that's it for this video. So I hope you found value in that. If you did, please click that subscribe button, hit that bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video, because I got a lot of these coming out every day right now. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I do my best to engage with every single comment that I can. If I see it, I will respond, I promise, and I do my best. So as always, until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.